Hey guys, so I'm kind of late to the party, but I finally decided to test the Regulus Therion package in Cyber Dragons, and you know what? I have to admit, it's actually really good in this deck. Originally, when this card was first announced, I thought it might be just another, gimmicky machine card that we might try to use in Cyber Dragons and don't end up working out, which has happened a lot, the last few years, but I was wrong. It's really, really good, and I'll just quickly go over some of the points I want to make regarding this particular deck list, and then I'll show you sort of like the test hand first in terms of how this package works in our deck, and then we'll show some other replays. And I don't really use EDO Pro often, as you would know if you follow my channel, but when it comes to cards that are not released yet, I'd like to use this instead of Dueling Book. So starting with the Regulus Therion, basically it just provides us with an Omni Negate by equipping a machine monster in the graveyard and summoning itself. So I'll show you how that works later. Now one thing though is, so basically I decided to play two, and I'm using actually two field spells. We do have the Terraforming. The field spell basically searches Therion, but also provides us with battle protection, which is actually something that I kind of always wanted, because Infinity, it typically ends up being around 2500 attack, and so its attack is not that good, and where it gets particularly unfortunate is because it usually ends up being slightly under like a Pankrtos, for example, so they'll just attack over it. And the All Mirage is there for the card protection, but now this provides us with battle protection, and also it lets us Foolish like a Therion, and then if any monster dies by battle, then you can actually add that Therion back from the graveyard to hand, so it has sort of this recurring process going on. And the other thing now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely hate Mystic Mine, but as a going second deck, if you can play Mystic Mine, it does give you an unfortunate auto win, and who knows, maybe this gets banned on the next list. At the time of recording, the list is not out, and who knows, maybe it's not out for like another month or so. But the reason why I say if you can play Mystic Mine, the thing is, generally, you're playing Mystic Mine if you have another field spell that you play in your deck, because it's not like you want to, let's say for example, Cosmic Cyclone your own Mystic Mine so that you can start doing your plays again, right? Like you want to be able to just activate another field spell and just get rid of the mine that way, so that you don't have to neck so hard, and you use this to sort of stall to basically get the cards that you need to really kill your opponent after, or maybe they just scoop because they just have no main deck out to it. So terrible card, but it is something we can play now because we have field spells and we have that Terraforming to search this out. It also serves as like, it will force your opponent to use a negate that they have, right? They have no other choice, so it really is a good 1-for-1 trade as well. The remaining deck list really hasn't changed. I mean, it could definitely be different, but I was just purely focusing on testing the Therion package out and not really the other cards. And the reason why I'm not playing the Dragoon package, like the Dark Magician Red Eyes, as well as the DPE package, it's purely because I'm just worried on the next ban list. I'm just worried that Anaconda will be banned. I am putting it here in the list for now, but basically the way I'm sort of testing it is that, okay, if Anaconda were to get banned, like this main deck would not change, right? But if I had like the Dragoon or DP package, then I would have to like take those out. So that's the reason why I decided not to put those packages in this testing in particular. The extra deck is nothing that different, I guess. I mean, I am trying Dingirsu, and you would have seen this on both like Yassine or Teams That Pass channel, basically because when you equip Cyber Dragon, or rather so when you equip Cyber Dragon to Therion, then the Cyber Dragon, even in the spell trap zone, you can contact fuse it with another machine you have to make that Command Tech Fortress, which is another level 8, and then you can just overlay the Therion and the Fortress for that Dingirsu and just get that send, or maybe sometimes you might even want to attach a banished Cyber Dragon monster, and then it also provides card destruction protection effect. So that's it for the list. No need to really pay attention to the side. I think the replays are just like single games anyways for the most part, and so let's just do a quick round of testing of how the play works, and then we'll get to the replays. Alright, so let's just do a test hand. Normally we would be going second, but for this example, let's just say we're going first. So we're going to use a field spell and add that Therion monster, well, Regulus to be specific. We're going to use Core, get that Repair Plant. So now at this point, ideally it'd be nice if we could, for example, just set up the Therion before you use Repair Plant to prevent it from being Ash. But you do need that Cyber Dragon Grave to be able to activate the Repair Plant. So that's why you still have to play it first before you can get to the Therion. But now we can bring it out and do the Galaxy Soldier Hearse play so that we can go into Nova Infinity. So we're going to get the Cyber Dragon and another Soldier. Of course, this part is probably very familiar for all of you. So we're going to bring that Hearse. Now at this point, if Anaconda is still legal, then you can go into Infinity and then use Almirage and Hearse to go into Anaconda and bring out either DP or Dragoon. In this particular list, we're pretending that we don't have access to Anaconda, and so we're just going to go into Infinity, suck up the hers so that when we negate next turn, we detach the hers and it can just add us a Cyber Dragon and just sort of plus that way. And we also have the Prosperity. This was a very good going first hand, by the way, so this is not the most realistic, I guess, but I just wanted to show you how it works in terms of using your Cyber Dragon plays and also Regulus. So now let's get to the replays. Unfortunately, with EDO Pro, I find most of them are not meta decks, and for whatever reason, I ended up only going up against like back row heavy decks, so bear with me, but I am going to try my best to show just some interactions with the Regulus stuff. Okay, so the first replay is against the Amazement deck. So like I said, it's not really against the most meta decks with EDO Pro, at least for me, I guess. I don't really play on the software that much, but it's going to be a lot of back row decks. So he's going to activate the Cyclo Coaster and the Horror House. I do get to add, but he's going to be able to summon the other Amazement guy and also pop the Field Spell, which really, it already did its job. It doesn't matter for us. Turns out also, I guess I'm going too fast here. Turns out this Amazement monster is a machine, so I was able to just contact fuse it for that fortress. And we can also summon out the Regulus by equipping it. At this point, he's trying to equip the Regulus. Instead, I'm just going to negate it. It's unfortunate that you have to just get rid of the Regulus. Now we're going to try to do the Machine Do play, but unfortunately it was imperm, so it's going to be only able to bring out the hers instead of the Cyber Dragons. And this one was interesting. So he Veilers and also uses the trap to negate all their effects. Now fortunately, Rampage actually requires Cyber Dragon monsters, so it doesn't actually matter if there's Cyber Dragon or not, as long as it's a Cyber Dragon monster. The only downside though is at this point, because hers is negated, I can't go into Seeger, because Seeger actually does require the original Cyber Dragon and this effect is negated. But it's okay because, so we're going to pop that Spell Trap first, but we're going to have access to that Naxxer. And basically now we get that Cyber Dragon on board so that we can go into Seeger and just do massive damage to be able to go for the OTK. So let's move on to the next one. Alright, so the second replay is against Sky Striker, but a more trap heavy version of Sky Striker, I guess. So our hand is looking pretty weird. Oh, actually, okay, emergency, so that kind of solves everything. So we're going to start with the Terraforming and get that Field Spell, get the Therion, and then we're of course going to get our Core. Normal the Core, surprisingly the effect goes through, and Machine Dupe also goes through, so I was a little skeptical here. So we're going to go into Nova, Almirage, and then we'll still go into the second body before going to Infinity. He does Solemn Strike here, so he knows how to play around that, because if he Solemn Strikes a Nova, our effect will be able to trigger. We do get to use Therion now, though, as a backup play. And then we're going to go into the Fortress, and this is where the Dingirsu effect comes up. So I can just force one of the back row. And so now we still have the extra body, so that we can go into Anaconda. Unfortunately, I'm not playing the Dragoon or TPE package, but hey, I can still bring out Rampage. Unfortunately, he has D-Barrier, and I cannot summon. But you know what? It's okay, because we still have Overflow and Droplet. Pretty good follow-up, really. And so looks like our opponent just scoops here, but I know that goes a little fast on EDO Pro, but I just basically wanted to show how you might be able to bring out Dingirsu, and I was just using that to force out more back row. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, and so now another back row deck in Eldritch. I was hoping to go against combo decks, but it just was not happening. Our opponent's going to start with the Ecclesian set 4 pass, and so we are just going to start with the Field Spell yet again. There can be only one. That is really problematic for Cyber Dragons, but we do have some workarounds. You can also actually, so before I show you this, you could also technically special out Naxxer by pitching the Cyber Dragon, and let's say you go into Anaconda, and then you know, you bring out Rampage and you can pop There Can Be Only One. But because there's so much back row, I didn't want to do that play, because that's investing a lot, right? Like, you're just going to lose a lot of your hand going for that. I wanted to start with the Therion stuff and just slowly force things out. He's trying to use a punishment. Almirage is very clutch here. It does protect from card destruction effects for the rest of the turn, and also it's nice to have a big body attack that can get over Ecclesia, because you can't destroy by battle with extra deck monsters. So it looks like our opponent is just set 5 pass, and we get to just poke, at least try to, with the Therion. We're going to Ash the Sanguine, and so it's not the most interacting gameplay, I guess, but you know, this is where I really like Therion. It forces things out. It also helps you have just like backup options, and that Feather Duster is looking nice and juicy, but Solemn Judgment, it's okay though. His attack, or rather his life points, getting really low. He does have the Conk, and he's trying to Torrential here. So now the Hearse triggers, which is another plus thing with the Therion stuff, is that we get to add, he's negating the Repair Plant, 975 life points, you don't see that often, but we do have another Therion, and I think at this point our opponent probably won't be able to do anything, right, unless he draws something really useful. But that's it for that replay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this next one is against a deck I don't think I've ever seen before. It's Numeron Altergeist. I don't know if that's actually a thing. But it was also a going first version, so you know it's not like the normal Numeron where they try to OTK you. I guess it's just like to set up Appaloosa. I mean, it was kind of strange. So we're gonna start with the core. He's of course gonna try to negate it, and we will droplet that, so that core will still resolve, and so we'll get the repair plant. And like again, don't use Therion yet until you resolve the repair plant, because you need that Cyber Dragon Grave. I don't really actually get to use the Therion stuff, but what I wanted to show is that it does bait out negates, and getting rid of that Solemn Strike was huge, right? And something we wouldn't have had otherwise if we didn't have Regulus available. And so we're going to use Nova. He's going to Ghost Ogre, so Nova's effect will trigger, and so we're going to use that, get access to Mega Fleet now, and this one you have to do your math carefully. Of course, also keep in mind we can't Ash that because that's in damage step. But we do fortunately get to OTK that just with 100 in excess, which is great. And so let's just move on to the final replay. Alright, so this final replay is yet against another stun kind of deck, I guess, with Inspector Border Pass. So Inspector Border is actually not that intimidating for us because it is a machine and you can contact fuse it away for Fortress, but I also want the core to resolve in this instance. So we're going to start with the Prosperity. I guess we never got to use Mystic Mine in these replays, but that would be really boring, so it's a good thing I guess I never had to play it. We are going to improve that just so we can get access to core. Now one thing, I do search this Cyber Load Fusion because against back row heavy decks, I like to do that because Overload, you know you're going to banish and then you can put them back and just pop back row with Chimeric Rampage multiple times. And speaking of Fortress, we do get to bring that out because Border is a machine. He's going to try to use Punishment again. We're going to protect it with the Mirage. And I'm not sure why, but he tries to protect or tries to pop it again with the Entis on the same Rampage, not knowing that it'll protect it for the rest of the turn. So our opponent just rage quits there, but I didn't get to show off the regular stuff much in that replay, but this would have been OTK as well. Alright guys, so that was it for Cyber Dragon testing featuring the Therion package. I hope you found that useful. I'm really excited for these cards to come out in Dimension Force in early May. As always, a big thanks to my Patrons for their continued support. It really means a lot. And well, take care guys.